get yourself out of the mentality that, you know, that these teams are going to be just absolutely crushing every single week, because it just does not work like that. That's just doesn't happen in pro sports, dude. And now a lot of teams are able to make adjustments. They're able to do things that, um, you know, that they weren't able to do a few weeks before, because they figured things out. And that's why the NFL gets more and more exciting as we get into deeper and deeper into the seasons, and these matchups become even more unpredictable, because everybody has weaknesses and everybody has strengths. It's always about the matchup that exposes it, and that's what it's all about at the end of the day. So let's go ahead and talk about which pretty much was the game of the day yesterday, because this was between two of the more potent offenses in the NFL, and that was the Chargers and the Chiefs. And the boat report, the Chargers dropped their second in a row for the second time this year to fall to 2-4 after a 31-17 loss to the Chiefs. So pretty much this team, um, this team is really in a situation right now where it's the same old Chargers, dude. Like, it's just the same old song that it always is with the Chargers. And the Chargers are really a team that has to figure this thing out. Justin Herbert had a decent day yesterday, but he could have been a lot better, you know, because Justin Herbert is a very, very good quarterback. But at the same time, too, he might be overthinking this thing a little bit too much as well. And that's where he gets into a lot of trouble, is because he's overthinking and he's not finishing the job. But there were a lot of things that really held up the Chargers yesterday, and there was just points in the game where they just couldn't get over the hump the way that you're supposed to win games like this. Herbert was sacked 5 times yesterday. He threw 2 interceptions. That was the most he's thrown all season as well, too, because he's been so good at protecting the ball. The Chargers only had 3 turnovers coming into the game. And so, you know, he's been playing his best type of football when it comes to protecting the ball, but the results are kind of lackluster a little bit, because, you know, with Herbert, you expect this guy to be throwing for 300 a game, 2 touchdowns minimum, you know, and you just haven't been getting that as much as you want to. When I look at his game log, you know, he has a really good first 3 weeks, and then you have the Vegas game and he broke his thumb, and it's been kind of off since, you know what I mean? Because you look at these first 3 games, it's MVP worthy, you know what I mean? But one thing is, too, he has to stay upright. This elusive offensive line that they had so much bright things to say about, they've actually allowed him to be sacked 14 times this year. That means over a 6-game period, he's getting sacked at least 2.5 times a game. That's not good. You know, your quarterback shouldn't be hitting the ground that much, but you got to get the ball out a little bit quicker. That goes back to your receivers. Keenan Allen has been playing out of his mind the last few weeks. But, you know, that's because he has to do a little bit more, because Mike is hurt now, Mike Williams. And then you're not getting much from your rookie QJ. Darius Davis is not getting enough touches, in my opinion. And then Eckler's still not 100% healthy, but they're getting some good reps out of Josh Kelly, who actually scored a pretty long touchdown yesterday, and he looked really good doing it as well, too. So he's getting really comfortable with his role in the lineup and all that stuff. So this is some there's things that you can still build on with the Chargers. Yesterday's defense, you know, you don't get really we all got to understand the Chargers defense has a really good front seven, but their back end is terrible. Okay. Their back end is really bad at closing things out. And, you know, yesterday they just didn't get to Mahomes enough. This team came in third in the NFL when it came to sacks. They came out with 1 sack yesterday. Penalties didn't kill them yesterday. It wasn't that the Chiefs ran more plays or anything like that, or they had the ball a lot longer or anything. It's just that the Chargers just couldn't stay on the field. You know what I mean? They went 6 of 14 on third down, and you had the Chiefs go 6 of 11. That's over 50% that, you know, the Chiefs were able to do that. But I will say this, they did a great job in the second half of pretty much shutting the game down, because this game had a ton of points in the first half. This game actually wound up having 41 points in the first half. and everybody was pretty much ready to go ahead and get ready to see that over cash. But we only got one touchdown in the second half, so that means that defense showed up. But the Chiefs just played another very comfortable game for themselves. Patrick Mahomes, a quiet 424 yards yesterday, 4 touchdowns. He threw a pick, so what? But 424 yards. That's all. That enough said. Isaac Pacheco wasn't as effective as he usually is, but he did enough, and he scored a touchdown yesterday. And Travis Kelce had an absolute remarkable game. I don't think a tight end has probably had this type of stat line ever. 12 catches, 179 yards for a touchdown, 53 being his longest as well. So he did pretty good yesterday. And, there was a lot of guys who just stepped it up and they played great football yesterday. And then you get 5 sacks from your defense as well. That has actually been the star of this team most of the year. So it's been a real transcending situation with the Chiefs in this season and them being an absolutely complete team. It's not as sexy as it's been over the last few years, but they have shown that they've reached the level of being an ultimate team, not just a great player and his buddies. It's an ultimate team now. It's not just about a great coach with the great scheme. It's about an ultimate team now. And that's something that the rest of the NFL has been put on notice about in this season particular. When you're going up against the Chiefs, they play a certain type of game where they're not going to make as many mistakes as you. That's the whole thing. And they figured that part out. They have figured out how to be masters of execution. And that's exactly what is keeping them upright and keeping them winning these games and keeping them at the top of the AFC and at the top of the NFL. So with that, the Chargers need to just go ahead, breathe, understand that the Bears are coming into town next week. It's a national televised game. The Bears have already announced that Justin Fields is not going to be playing in that game. So you do have Chargers team that's probably going to be a massive favorite, double-digit favorite at that as well. And this is a good signature game for them to go ahead and see exactly who they truly are. We'll talk a lot more about it tomorrow on the NFL Bet Exchange. But with that, we'll go ahead and we move forward, and let's jump into our next topic for the NFL aftermath. And that's going to be the Browns win a thriller in Indy, beating the